What's up, everyone? Welcome back to After the Storm. This is the Canes game review for game number 21 of the season, a 4-1 loss to the Dallas Stars. Look, I'm not going to take too long on this video or anything like that. We'll do it the whole way through. But first, go back because I missed the Washington game, and I believe I'm going to end up missing. I might end up missing. I believe it's Saturday's game. Saturday's game against who we playing on Saturday. Without the schedule in front of me, I never know. Saturday we play Buffalo. I think I'm going to be at the Sens and Avalanche game in Ottawa. So odds are I'm not going to be able to get the CGR done, but let's take a look at the schedule the next day. I mean, they don't play on Sunday, so there's a pretty, or on Monday. Okay, there's a pretty good chance I'll get that one done. But nevertheless, I missed the Washington game. I was taking care of putting on winter tires because that's something we have to do in Canada. But nevertheless, it was everything getting in the way. And let's just talk quickly about the ending to that Washington game. Specifically, let's talk about the penalties, and let's talk about Brendan Moore getting fined $25,000 again. So look, obviously they're concerned, and in the concern the next day really ended up around the fact that Alexei Protas, before he does get his stick slashed by Sebastian Aho, is in fact offside, which should negate the penalty. Now, I know there's a lot of complaints in general about the penalty itself, and I'll be honest, it's a penalty. The way to avoid it being a penalty is to not two-hand chop a guy like Sebastian Aho loves to do. And I really hate that he does that because it is a, I don't know what the word would be. It's a lazy play. I think that's the word I'm going to use for this one. It's a lazy play. He's not in position to actually perform a stick check, so it's just a two-hand slash with full extension. This was going to happen eventually. It unfortunately happened at the worst possible time in this game. And I understand why Brendan Moore is heated based on that rule of the offside being in place, and it should be being negated on that play. But ultimately, the team took two penalties at the worst time of the game, and they took two actual penalties. Absolutely sucks to lose to the Caps. I totally agree. If of the two games I would have wanted to win, it would have been the Caps game. But ultimately, you got to move on from it, and you got to be better, and that's a big one here. Is you have to grow and learn from the game. And ultimately, we're going to get into Dallas and how bad Sebastian Aho was in this one. But let's first go ahead and kick it off with the intro. So introing this game, Frederik Andersen back in the net against Braden Holtby, former Washington Capital, former Vancouver Canuck, who was basically like the third or the second string goalie of a three goalie tandem that Dallas has been running with Jake Ottinger and Ben Bishop, but Ben Bishop has not been healthy, of course, this season yet. So when he does come back, though, this is a strange little setup they've got going on in Dallas. I'm not sure if one guy's going to end up being traded or whatnot, but they've got three good goaltenders. And Holtby was really good in this one. Like, I got to give Holtby all the credit. I don't think he was the player I focused on for this one. That was Rupe Hintz, of course, who had another huge game. But ultimately, Holtby is still a very good goaltender in this league. I know there's a lot of hate for him around the league. I think he's obviously come down from his elite level of play that he showed in Washington. But this was a guy who, back in the offseason, I was looking at when he got bought out by Vancouver for the Canes to jump at, because I think Braden Holtby is a fantastic goaltender, and I would have loved to see him in Carolina. Of course, we have the entire right side of the Canes defense out due to COVID protocols. Bear still out, should be returning shortly from those protocols, and D'Angelo now into COVID protocol, and Brett Pesce into it as well. So I went into this game with the expectation that this is a loss. If they could steal a point, if they could just have a good effort, I think that's a win. I think they did have a good effort in this game despite all of this, and despite the score. But you're missing half of your defensive lineup. You're not going to beat most teams in the NHL on any given night. So, of course, with those absences in the lineup, Max Lajoie and Jalen Chatfield come up from Chicago. So we're going to quickly zoom through the game because there's honestly not a lot to talk about in this one. Again, thought it was a good effort. Holtby was great. And the Dallas Stars really just played a great game of hockey, and they got outplayed for a good portion of it. But let's go through first period pretty quickly here. Early on, Rupe Hintz just after a minute has expired in the first period. Again, this is a trend we're seeing. Maybe I'll let it slide this time, given the fact that there's 3 defensemen missing, but ultimately the first minute happens and a goal goes on the board against Carolina. Rupe Hintz gets the goal, shot, rebound, gets a nice forehand shot around Frederik Andersen, and the Dallas Stars lead 1-0. Carolina gets a power play after this due to Jason Robertson closing his hand on the puck. Power play unit comes out with 5 forwards. They give up a shorthanded breakaway chance to Rupe Hintz, and Dallas kills off the penalty. This power play is really stuck in the mud right now. Ian Cole trips up Rupe Hintz, sending Dallas to their first power play of the night. Best chance on this one, Robertson hitting the post, and Carolina would end up killing this one off. The penalty kill, I can't even speak. The penalty kill has been solid throughout all of this, but this power play is really slumping, and I think we're into that portion of the season where we're going to see a lot of slumping. So there's a long board battle here toward the end of the first period. Brady Shea's stick comes up in high sticks. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and they call a penalty on Dallas, but obviously it shouldn't be. And, I was complaining about the officiating in this game quite a bit, and my overall point of the officiating debate is if you're going to let offsides and goals be microanalyzed with the coach's challenge and by the league review office, why not just extend this to penalties as well? The ref can on the ice call a penalty, and afterwards, if a coach wants to challenge, or whatever the case may be, if the league wants to challenge, let the refs take a look at the replay on the tablets with a headset while talking to the league office, and they can just review very quickly that Shea's stick is the one that comes up and hits Kotkaniemi, so therefore it's not a high stick. But that's not even really where it started in this one. So Carolina gets a gift. They get to go back to the power play. Nothing really happens on the power play. Kotkaniemi gets hooked by Jamie Benn. Ben gets called for hooking. Kotkaniemi gets called for diving, and again, here I'm going to come back to it. If it's one, it's not the other, and if it's that one, it's not the other one. So if it's hooking, it's not diving. If it's diving, it's not hooking. And if it's both, it's neither. Don't call it. This is why this sport is looked at this level as such a joke. Like, it just looks like it's the officiating is just fly by night. It doesn't really seem to understand its own rules or even abide by them at most times. Like, what's the harm on this play from letting Ben hook Kotkaniemi down and letting Kotkaniemi dive on the play? Let's say that's what exactly happened on this play. If you're gonna call both penalties, why not just call none on this play, leave it alone, and just let the players go down on the ice? That just shows that you're not willing to call two penalties on the same play. Like, it just doesn't make sense. If you're getting hooked, how are you diving? And if you're diving, how are you getting hooked? This is the conundrum of this friggin' sport right now, and why the officiating just and I get it, it's a difficult job, but my goodness, man, like, take an off season and really focus on this stuff. Not even to mention, it's very clear that they cared about the cross-checking stuff for about a month, and then they just gave it up. So you can watch a game now. You can just see like 20 cross-checks, and none of it gets called anymore. So Dallas ends up killing off the penalty that was originally assessed here on the Phantom Kotkaniemi high stick. Towards the end of the period, Stephen Lawrence gets a nice deflection opportunity, hopefully with a great save, and we head to the second period with Dallas leading 1-0. Kicking off the second period, Vincent Trocheck gets a nice chance in front, but again, Holtby makes a nice save. I think he was the best player for Dallas in this game. And right after, here we go again. Teravainen, a holding call that is not a holding call or a penalty, and it's called. And whoever he hooked, maybe it was Gurianov, I can't remember who he hooked, or held, I guess, Jesus. Like, they go down very easily. So if you're going to call the diving on Kotkaniemi in the first period, why aren't you calling the diving here? Why isn't this just matching minors again? So that's the whole point of this, is there's not even a penalty on this play, yet you're just calling one instead of calling both like you did in the first period when there were penalties. I don't get it. I just don't get what we're doing as a league anymore. And the worst part about all this is we're trying to get used to these rules and all these rule changes, and this happens every season. It feels like there's an adjustment to a penalty. This year it's apparently cross-checking. Last year it was, I don't even know what the heck it was. Whatever it was last year and the year before and the year before. And then we get to April and the playoffs start and suddenly it's all different. It's exhausting. It's exhausting trying to talk about this sport sometimes with the amount of ridiculousness that goes on at the actual level of the people who are in charge of it and the rules that are set out. It's just, I don't even know what to expect anymore on any given game. I just look at the refs and go, okay, because there's nothing else I can do as a fan watching this game. It just looks like these refs are just there to do whatever they want. So Carolina would, of course, kill that penalty off. Brady Shea would have a chance. Holtby the save. And this pretty much right here becomes the Braden Holtby show. Aho with a one-timer. Stahl with a wraparound chance. All of it stopped by Holtby. 2-on-1 forming. I think it was Jalen Chatfield back, who I thought had a pretty strong game, and I'll highlight a little bit later on for Carolina in this one. But just the inexperience at the NHL level really showing on this play. A 2-on-1. Tries to, make the right read, makes the wrong one. Pavelski, a nice pass over to Hintz. He throws it over the glove of Freddie Anderson very easily, and the Dallas Stars lead 2-0. Hopefully we make another nice stop on Seth Jarvis, and we head to the third period with the Canes down 2-0. Now, I'll be honest, this is where I turned off the game. I rewatched it last night. I'm recording this on Thursday. So I turned this off because I had to be up early in the morning, and frankly, I kind of knew how this one was going. So I turned it off, rewatched the third period yesterday, and let me tell you, it didn't get any better. I think for the first 7 minutes of the third period, I didn't even write anything down in these notes. Legit, there was nothing going on. There wasn't even really chances for Carolina. It was all like clean wrist shots through that Holtby just easily gloved. And of course, the outshooting 3-to-1 ratio for the Canes in this one at the best of times meant that Freddie Anderson's getting no work on the other end. And then about 7 minutes in, Pavelski in the corner wins a physical battle, gets himself to the front of the net. A shot from the point, he tips it. It goes past Freddie. 3-0 from one of the best deflectors in hockey's history. And this is obviously over at this point. 7th of the year for Pavelski, one of the top American players. It'll be interesting to see if he still, even at his age, and his slowly declining with his speed and all that, if he still ends up as a member of the American Olympic team, because he's been a pretty important part of that Olympic team since 2010. Gurianov takes a penalty on Martin Necas. So we head back to the power play for the third time in this game. Absolutely nothing happens on this power play. They barely get set up. They shoot a puck wide, and Dallas kills it off. And the one player in the midst of all this slumping of all these other players around him who seems to just be thriving is Jesperi Kotkaniemi. This big scramble chance in front of the net. Kotkaniemi's getting pushed and bowled over, and he just gets himself up, goes around the other side of the net. A shot comes in from the point. A jam play by Kotkaniemi. He gets it through Holtby, and it's 3-1. His 6th of the season. I think that's his 4th goal in his last 5 games or so. And he's having a really solid little stretch here. And while the rest of the team really isn't. Freddie gets pulled out of the net around 2:55, and immediately after he gets to the bench, Rupe Hintz turns and fires from his own zone into the net, his hat trick, 4-1 Dallas. And I pretty much thought the game was done there, but Braden Holtby decided, no, I'm going to absolutely rob the Canes 3 times in the matter of 5 seconds with this oh my god, Svechnikov and Jarvis on this play, and just the 2-pad stack, the glove stop, unreal game from Braden Holtby here. Just a wonderful goaltending performance by him in this one, and he did absolutely deserve the win in this. So that would wrap it up. A 4-1 loss. Again, I thought they gave a good effort, and that might be controversial, but I think a lot of stuff went the wrong way, and ultimately they dominated the game from a possession and a shots on goal. Probably their issue was just not getting the right shots on goal in this one without traffic in front and crashing for rebounds. And also, I do want to throw this out there. The Carolina Hurricanes are one of the least scoring teams on rebounds this season. I think they might be second last only to the Arizona Coyotes. Now, I bring this up because in the playoffs, a lot of goals are scored on rebounds. Not a whole lot of it's very clean, and not a lot of it is pretty. And we've seen some pretty goals from this team. So again, I hope this is something in the second half of the season that we start seeing a little bit more. We really do need to see more people in front of the net, especially right now. I think the power play especially needs a guy that is sitting directly in front and looking to tip pucks. And right now, I don't think they've really got that. I think Stahl would be perfect for that slot. And they probably at this point need to take a look at the power play entirely and see if they can change anything. But ultimately, getting back to the main point of this game, thought they outplayed Dallas well. I thought they put in a good effort. That's all I was really asking for in this one. I knew it was going to be a loss due to the injuries or the COVID situation. And it sucks to take another loss here, but this is a portion of the schedule that they got to get themselves through. And hopefully Bear can come back for the Thursday game against Ottawa. I'm not holding my breath on that, and Ottawa's a team that is playing horrible hockey right now. So this is a great opportunity to get 2 points while you're missing a few players out of your lineup. So let's go ahead and get into some player analysis, starting off with the good. The good, I have Jesperi Kotkaniemi in a game where not a whole lot of people played very well, although a good effort was there as a team. Kotkaniemi gets the goal. It seems like what's happening around him is largely unaffecting him, which is great. It looks like he's a guy who's really found that home on that fourth line, and he's producing pretty well on it. The other good one, and that might shock you a little bit, is Jalen Chatfield. I actually thought he had a really good game. Rushing the puck up, had some offensive opportunities. Defensive end, he has the one hiccup there on the play with Pavelski and Hintz on the 2-on-1. But ultimately, I thought he had a really good game for the Canes in this one. Lajoie, on the other hand, I thought was okay. He got some power play time on the second unit and a bit on the first unit, I think, as well. But didn't have like a strong game that we're used to seeing from Max Lajoie. In the average category, I had Freddie, 3 goals on like 15 or 16 shots in this one. Not a good night from him. But he, of course, did make saves when the team needed it early on in the game. But ultimately, just not a great night from Freddie. And I only had one bad player, Sebastian Aho. If you go back and watch some highlights of this game and you watch Aho specifically, and that's the way I watch hockey is probably a lot different than most people. I don't really watch the puck a lot of the time. I know where the puck is on the screen, but I like to look off the puck and see what's happening around as a play develops. And man, a lot of points in this game, I was watching Sebastian Aho do things and miss pucks and just asking myself, like, what is he doing? Like, ultimately, this isn't who Sebastian Aho is. This is a rough night and a very rare bad game from him. But this was probably one of his worst. Falling down a lot, missing pucks, just wasn't communicating with his teammates out there. And it showed. It really did in this game. And to highlight a Stars player, of course, let's highlight Rupe Hintz, a player that we might end up seeing on the Finnish Olympic team, if the Olympics still happen, of course, in February. But ultimately, he controlled this game from the outset, and he was on a mission to score goals in this one, and he really did. He just, every time he got the puck in this one, he had, shorthanded breakaways on penalty kills, and he had more opportunities than just to score 3 in this one. But a very good game from him, a hat trick with the empty netter, and one of the top players on Dallas as they kind of move into this next chapter of the franchise's history. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, click that thumbs up down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can get these videos as soon as they upload. And as always, guys, I will catch you on the next one, Thursday's game against the Ottawa Senators.